Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. And before, stop. I know what you're gonna do. I know you're gonna just skip to the end, see what I have for number one, type a little comment like, "Oh, you're wrong." Oh, don't do that. Well, okay, wait, you can do that, but just wait before you do. So this list doesn't have any of the Agent of Destruction cards in it. I know that might be a weird thing to do, but I just felt like they're pretty. Everyone knows these cards are good, right? Like I've been a firm believer that if you want a competitive deck, if you want to just get in, like not even like super competitive, but if you want a functional deck, you should literally just buy 2 anniversary boxes, put all the Agent of Destruction stuff together, and you've got a pretty good deck for someone who just wants to start the game. So I think these cards are already good. I think people know that they're good, and I think they're weird too because they're only good within their archetype too, right? Which is kind of weird for these anniversary boxes to do something like this broad of a set of cards. So I think all of them are good. I think the Vegeta Unison and Jajima Unison, both of them can be good outside of the archetype as well. I mean, out of the Agent of Destruction archetype, because they're both like half Agent of Destruction cards. They're weird, whatever. So none of those cards are going to be on this list. So if you're expecting those, just know they're good. You should, if you want to play the deck, play the deck. You should already know this by now. But this is going to be a list for my top 10 cards just out of the anniversary box that aren't Agent of Destruction at all. So it should be pretty interesting. It was actually really hard still, even though there's only like 20 cards. This box is amazing. There are so many good cards for value, and I really only kind of picked one card per archetype too. So I think the other cards probably I'll talk about it when I get to individual cards too. But it's not just a this card's good and the other cards like part of the archetype around it aren't good. This is just the best card for the archetype from there. So just take that in mind too. Also, if you want to get these cards, the anniversary box drops on Friday. If you want any individual cards or just the box themselves, consider using my TCG player link in the description below. Support your locals though, so get the anniversary boxes from your locals, but if they went away or they're not selling these cards, or you only just want some of the cards like the individual cards, please consider using my TCG player link in the description. I just get a little bit of a kickback, and that helps the channel, and you're probably going to buy them anyway, so why not help me out for it? So all that aside, let's go into the list with number 10. Starting off the list, we've got Vegito, Resolve combined, and this is just one of the things I was talking about, like the Goku and the Vegeta that also kind of support this red Vegito leader archetype. Those are both also good cards, but aside just to single this guy out, and it really just kind of more because it signifies what the Union Potara needs. The Union Potara has never been really good, and for a lot of reasons, and the main reason is that you need 2 specific cards on the field and 1 in your hand, and that's pretty difficult to do in this game, honestly, and most other card games really. But it's just the fact that it's so specific. I mean, Goku and Vegeta are both like some of the most common cards in the game for sure. But just having them both out is tricky, and then usually the card they bring out isn't worth it. And you have to go like -2 for them. So this card kind of fixes all that. Because it's one, the Goku and Vegeta can be brought out really easily as well. You need a red Vegito leader, unfortunately, for this card, and currently we only have one that came out 3 years ago? Really old. The set 2 Vegito leader, which is still like people still use. It's cool with its the giving everything every color kind of mechanic, but it's just not. It's too slow. It's too slow for this game, and so these cards kind of help it try to become relevant. I don't think it quite makes it there. I think that the better thing is to try to make a red Vegito leader reboot card. And I think that will help the deck out a bunch more than just these cards. I think the leader just needs to be a bit better. So I think it's like the candidate for me. I think I'm almost positive that when they ask these questions, I said red Vegito should get a reboot leader. So hopefully that happens. I do like the archetype. It was like the first one I did when I played this game. So I think he's cool. And you can kind of still cheat this guy out with like the other 5-drop, like the rare one that costs 3 to Union Potara, and you play this, and then you swing and then you evolve on it. So you can do that, and you can use Active Main for 2 red on main or battle to pick up 1 Vegito card and it costs 7 from your deck or top and place it on top of this card. So like he's really cool, and he has barrier and everything. So I think he's like a cool card. We just need a better leader for the entire archetype, and then maybe Potara could be good. But until then, I don't think that's why he's number 10 for this list, because I really want him to work, and he's got a lot of things going for him. And it's just that the leader holds this whole archetype right now that we have these new cards. So hopefully we get a new leader, and then obviously this card I think we'll see a lot more play. Next up, we've got Goku, the legendary Fusion Warrior. I really, really like this card. So it has an auto when this card is played, add up to 1 green card with any cost of 6 or less, and Union Fusion skill from your deck to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So just the fact that it finds like the card you want to be playing on the next turn is great. and then activating for 1 green. You can place this card as owner's drop area, then choose 1 card from your hand with Union Fusion skill and reveal it. For each character name, reveal from the revealed cards Union skill, add up to 1 card with a matching character name, energy cost between 3 and 7 from your deck and add them to your hand. So essentially, if you pay it and it's fine, as long as it like gets on the field. This is a 2 energy draw 3, which is amazing, and of course it's limited to the cards that you're finding, but worst case, like this can be 2 energy, 15k combo power in a lot of ways, right? And it's just really cool that it helps out this archetype. And now if we look at the cards, we don't have a lot of cards that are green and have fusion right now. It's pretty much just the entirety of like, it's just Go Tank stuff, right? And right now we only have 2 Union Fusions for him. We have the new one that also came from this set. He's fantastic. The only thing wrong with him is that he's kind of like the Vegito, is where he's restricted to a green Go Tanks leader, and the one we have is almost 3 years old, so he's just really bad. I think if they get this leader rebooted as well, this archetype could really take off. But as it currently stands, I don't know if it really is going to get there. But I think Union Fusion is something they're still going to be doing in the future. So this is just a fantastic card for that. Psyched Up Go Tanks isn't also like a bad card. So if you just using it's kind of like the same thing. For 4 energy, you get a double strike that also draws 2 and also KOs a card, so it's fine. It's not a bad card in that regard. But this one, being able to draw 2 KO a battle card for 2 energy, has dual attack, deflect, and also when it's removed, you get your fusion material back as well. So just the fact that this card can just kickstart your entire engine, make sure you have everything for your deck, and just make a bunch of these Go Tanks. I think it's like really cool. It doesn't play nicely with the actual Go Tanks leader too, because you have to, if you look at it, Go Tanks really only works well if you have less cards than your opponent does in hand. And so if you keep adding cards from if you go +3, then you will have more cards in your hand than your opponent will, right? So it just it makes sense that we need a better leader for this guy. But I think overall, Gokul is a really good card, and if the archetype of just Union Fusion gets more support cards, it's going to be a big staple for that archetype. Next up, we've got Frost for the Clan, a 2-drop, 2 specific red unison card that helps out the kind of Prison Frieza archetype, which is a really weird leader. If you don't remember what he does, he has like a lot of cool extra cards that work for only him, but he also has a restriction that you can't play battle cards with, you can't have battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less in your deck at all. So like the idea is that you just place a bunch of extra cards turn 1, 2, and 3, and then turn 4 you actually start playing stuff. So it was never really popular. It was always like a low tier strategy, but a lot of people definitely wanted to make this work. And I think a lot of people also thought, like I did, that when Unisons came out, like, oh, these are kind of like battle cards that kind of get around Frieza BR's limit in that kind of sense. So having one specifically for him, I think, is a good start. A step in the right direction for the deck. I'm not convinced that it's tier 1 or super good yet. I think this card helps you get there, especially since it's it has 2 specific reds, so it's a 2-drop 15. You can use +1 to make it a 3-drop, and it has blocker, so that's all really good stuff. I'd say like the one thing that holding it back that other Unisons have is that you can't play its counterplay. The Yamcha is a 3-drop, so you can't put in your Frieza deck, which kind of sucks. But I think like the card itself is fine, especially like if you have nothing else to do turn 2, you just play one of these. It has blocker, which can be helpful, especially like it's a blocker with multiple lives, so either your opponent has to keep attacking into it, or you can stop, have like an emergency block in a lot of ways too. So just a good card. This +1 looks, it helps you get mono red extra cards to your hand, and then for -2, if your leader card's a red Frieza BR, add up to 2 mono red extra cards per drop pair to your hand. So you just like pluses a lot too. Like the fact that this is essentially a 2-drop draw 2, and a lot like you'll see like if you look at these unison cards, you have to look at like what the minimum they can do. And if you just play this for 2 energy, and then you can swing with it too, which is nice. You 2-drop swing, and then you -2 to add 2 mono red extra cards from your drop area to your hand. It's like a Goku 8 in a lot of ways, right? Like it's a roundabout way to think about it. But for 2 energy, you got 2 cards into your hand, right? You got to even choose the cards too instead of drawing 2. Now that could be good or bad, but in a lot of ways, I think this card's good. Early plays, it helps you stay alive and be a little bit oppressive. In the late game, it can help you just get some extra extra cards to your hand and just help you get some hand advantage when you have the energy to flex it. So I think it's a good card. I think people are going to definitely be trying Prison Frieza, and I'll be interested to see how well it turns out. Next up, we have Super 17, Hell's Ultimate Weapon. This is a really nifty card for kind of a niche leader that honestly got nerfed because their big boss monster got banned, but it's still a really good card in two ways. One, it has this permanent that if your leader card is a blue Android 21, negate this card's energy exhaust in all areas. So this is kind of like the first card that we've gotten that you can just play a multicolored energy for free, right? Like this is the first time that we can play one for one and just for free, like have it standing. Every other card is either you have to like have two cards in your drop area, which is almost impossible to do turn one, especially before you charge and everything like that. So just being able to be remotely no energy exhaust at all, I think is a really good effect, and it will probably help this Android 21 leader at least see experimentations because of that. And then also has this active main for 2 blue, 2 green, and 3 colorless. Play this card from your energy, then play up to 3 Android cards with energy cost of 5 or less from your energy. I think this is also just a fantastic effect. I'm not sure if 7 energy is too much, but there's also some ramping that this leader got, especially with Zeno too. Like Blue's got a little bit more ramping in general, and I think the biggest thing with this leader, well, I guess with Android 21 in general, and also this card, is that we don't have any like super duper good threats for these effects. Sure, we also have we have the Android 21. I forgot the Bad Omen, I believe it is, where if you play it from your life, you're able to, if you just play the card in general, you're just able to snipe a card from your opponent's life. So obviously playing one of these and you have like 4 Android 21 Bad Omens in your energy area, you just deal 7 energy to deal 4 damage is really good. So I think that's a fine effect. Especially since you can do some energy rearranging things as well, so if they get sent to the drop area or whatever. So I think there's definitely a deck around there, and in general, if Android 21 sees plays, you will definitely play this card in that deck, as long as you're playing blue or green, because it's just a free energy, and it's something like a lot of archetypes would be killing for right now. And so it's cool that Android 21 gets it, and we'll see if one, it gets more support down the way, and if more kind of leaders get these kind of like check lands with this kind of particular stuff. So really interesting card, and let's go to the next one. Next up is Bojack Galactic Disruptor. I really didn't know where to put this card on my list. I really like him as a card, and obviously I really like the archetype, as you guys know. So obviously this is like what I needed, right, for the archetype. Either the archetype needed a slightly better leader, or just this card is fantastic. So what it does is if you have 2 or more Bojack Brigade cards in your battle area, you can play this card from your hand for free, which is great for being able to, on turn 4, just have a free guy out so you can evolve and do your plunderer stuff. But also has this nice active main that if your leader card is a yellow Bojack card on its front side and you have 2 or more energy, you may discard this card from your hand, flip your leader to its backside, then draw 2 cards. So it's technically only a +1, but first of all, Bojack didn't do anything when he flipped over, so just the fact that you get to flip over and draw 2 is great. It's a great effect. It really, it just means that your leader's like draw 1 awaken. That's fine. That's super duper fine. 2, the bigger thing is that you're a 15k leader with 7 or 8 life, which is fantastic in so many ways. It helps you be really defensive. It helps you stay at 5 or more life for the effect of your plunderer stuff. It just helps with the leader so much. And I think it's super funny how just this one card can help the leader so much. But also he's also very searchable as well with a lot of the cards in the archetype. So I don't think it's unreasonable to expect to see this every game too also. So I don't know. I think it's great. It helps the archetype a bunch. I think a lot of people are excited about this who are excited about Bojack in general. I don't know if Bojack will be tier 1. I think he'll definitely be a lot better than he was, and a lot of people will see experimentation with him, and maybe he'll be just more consistent in doing what he does. So I like this card. Obviously, it's only like 50 cents because, it's such a niche card for such a niche deck, but I think it was exactly what that niche deck needed, and maybe we'll see some more mainstream success. Next up, we've got Son Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. saying Skions. I guess that's how that's said. When I first saw this card, I wasn't really impressed with it. I'll say that. And the more I looked at it, the more it kind of reflected on man, this card is probably pretty good. It has so much value. First of all, the weird thing about all these black unison cards is that they have no specific costs in any color. And so all of these can be played for 1. And so they're kind of all balanced around that and everything. So I think that's really interesting and unique to these ones. So in the very least, you can kind of look at this card and just look at it like an extra card that have these 3 effects depending on how much energy you pay, right? If you pay 1 energy, you can just choose this card and all your skillless battle cards gives plus 5k power. So you're probably not doing that unless you're doing like a hard skillless deck, but just being able to say this is a 15k for 1 energy is fantastic. Like if you look at like the Demigra Unison, that's a really good card. Sure, it also has some other effects that make it great, especially its life thing, but this is still like in the same vein as that, so that's cool. It has a -1. You can play up to 2 skillless battle cards with any cost of 1 from your deck or your drop area, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So just being able to, for 1 energy, play 2 things from your deck or drop area, I think is a fine effect. And also when you think of these minus effects too, sure you have to pay energy to do them, but you can also get this 10k body that can also do swings as well. So like for 1 energy, you get 3 swings across this card and 2 skillless battle cards. Sure, they're only 10k swings, but there's still 3 swings in general. So that's very efficient for 1 energy. And then also there's the -2, shuffle 2 skillless battle cards from your drop area into your deck. It's draw 2. So this is the same thing. This is like a Goku Ape for 2 energy. You're able to draw 2 cards. So that's like on curve for power level. You do have to be running skillless cards. So obviously, unless you were already running skillless, that wouldn't be good. But for the skillless engine to be able to just have a draw, 2 energy, draw 2, is fantastic. And you also still get your 10k swing if you need it. Like I know that's kind of like really minor, but I think all these effects are good. And if once again, I haven't looked into it, but I have a really strong hunch that like 1k skillless can be a deck now. They've gotten so much support over the last year that no one's really been looking into. I mean, I guess people have been looking. I haven't been seeing any success from, but maybe people are keeping their spice super spicy. I think there's some potential here though. And if there is potential for this deck, this card's definitely going to be in it because that's the versatility of saying, do I want to pump up everyone for the win? Do I need to play 2 skillless battle cards for some effects, or do I need to just draw 2 cards, for my stuff? So I think it's great, and I'll be interested to see how this does in the future. Next up is Allied Reinforcements. This might be too high up on the list, but guess what? It's my list, so I can decide where all this go. And I really love this card. If you know me, just in general, like a lot of archetypes that I really like and support and all that, got a lot of support from this anniversary box. So it was a really nice treat that, most people just want 1 or 2, but I got a lot of my wishes kind of granted in that kind of sense. But Bojack got support, Agent of Destruction got support, and Chilai for sure. I love Chilai, and it really resonates with me since like my first big top was with Chilai as well. So getting support for the deck is really cool. But I think this Desire is better than the the battle card. The battle card is okay, but this Desire I think is fantastic. So if your leader card is a Chilai BR and Limo BR card, and you choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. You choose 1. If you have no cards in your battle area, play up to 1 green Broly BR with an energy cost of 4 from your deck and 1 green Chilai BR or Limo BR from your deck and shuffle your deck. So just being able to do, like, for 2 energy, playing 2 things, a 4-drop and a 6-drop is insane, right? And don't even, like, if you have an empty board and then you have like a green yellow deck, you can like immediately do like a successor from it as well. Like all of this stuff is good. I think this is like really cool how all this kind of breaks down, and it's fantastic. And also for you play up to 1 green if you don't have an empty board, you just play 1 green Chilai BR or Limo BR from your drop area. So like this obviously is like kind of a lamer effect because you obviously want to do the first one, but it's unfortunately restricted. I think it's fairly restricted to having an empty battle area, which is fine. This card is fantastic. Just being able to do that for 2 energy is great, and you can even help you like get enough cards, like enough energy enough Dragon Balls in your drop area with like the new one, so that you can awaken and you can get a Broly back to your hand, but then you can play another Allied Reinforcements for free as well. So like all this is good. This is good stuff. This helps out the deck so much and just gains like a bunch of value, and I really like it. So that's this deck. I don't know. This is just like what this deck needs, and I like it, and that's it. That's why it's at number 4. Or I think it's at number 4. We're at number 4? Yeah, we're at number 4. So let's go to number 3. For number 3, we've got Grade 8 Bardock, Might of the Resistance. Like, how many good Grade 8 Bardocks do we need, like, that are 4-drops and that can be cheated out? Like, this is like the third, right? We've got like the first like Dash Pack one, and then we've got like the good from the draft, or from the draft box. And now we got another one. So obviously these are good cards, right? All 3 of them have seen, or all 2 previous ones have seen success. So this one will see success too, right? And this feels like they're trying to make this one not broken, right? They realize that like the 2-drop one, or the one you combo for 2 energy, even though like 2 energy is a lot, that was still broken. And so they're like, okay, fine, we're giving some restrictions to this guy, so he's unique. He also has this permanent that you can only play mono yellow Saiyan cards, but he also has critical blocker. He's a 15k. And auto, if your leader card is yellow, at the end of battle when this card is used in a combo from your hand, play this card. So fantastic in a lot of ways. Just the fact that he's for 1k, he's a 15k crit blocker is fantastic. The fact that you can, let's say you're 2 swings away from dying or something. So they swing with one thing, you just for 1 energy play this Bardock. It comes out, now you have a blocker out, and so your opponent can't, like, you can block it or something. I don't know, like, that's just an idea. And I think he's really cool. In general, I think they Great Ape got some support from this set. Just because we also got the Unison and we also have the extra card. I think the extra card is really good too. It almost beat out this Bardock in my mind, but I felt like this is just universally good for any yellow deck. Not being able to play any cards besides mono yellow Saiyans could be kind of tricky depending on what kind of deck you're playing. So there is some thought into playing this card, which is great because otherwise, if it was just like, oh, I'm playing yellow, better play this 4-drop Bardock. This one's like, oh, I'm playing yellow and Saiyans, so this would be a good fit, or even just a whole Great Ape archetype. So love this card, think he's fantastic. And we also have some, like, I guess confirmed support for Great Ape in general from the next draft box. So that's probably also why I'm putting this a little bit higher than the other cards, just because I'm not only do I think this card's good, but I know that he's getting support down the road, so he's probably going to be better if there's good support too. So like the card, think he's good, and you should play it. Next up, we have Hatchiak, Mad with Hate. I'm not sure if it's weird to see this guy so high on the list, especially me, who's never literally played Hatchiak ever, not once. But this is just a fantastic endgame card in a lot of ways, and I think it's really what this archetype needs. And in general, playing against it, they don't really have any good, like, endgame, especially, like, they had, like, Shadow Dragon, and that was, like, fine as a secret rare, but they didn't see it every game, and so, like, having, like, a good win condition, especially since, like, Shadow Dragon wasn't searchable. Like, this card's not searchable either, but you can run 4 of. In worst case, he's a 5k combo. I don't know why he's not a 10k combo. He's a big old 9-drop with 30k power, but they decided to give him just 5k, so that's him, I guess. But he's fantastic. He's triple attack, evolve, Hatchiak with energy cost of 8, so you can kind of, like, trick your opponent. Like, it's a free EX evolve too, so you can just tap out, your opponent thinks you're safe, and then boom, you got 3 more attacks coming in. And when a card evolves into this, switch to active mode. And also, when your opponent activates a counter skill, they choose 1 card in their hand and send it to their warp. So this, I don't know. This is just fantastic for the archetype. I think it's just a necessary, like, win condition as well that the archetype didn't have previously. And it's kind of just reminds me of, like, the Fu that we got from last anniversary box. You just, for 4, it's a 25k triple strike, or sorry, triple attack, where they have to discard a card every time they play an effect. So if your opponent doesn't have a lot of cards in hand, you can just keep swinging with this thing and either win the game or they just have no cards in their hand and then they can't really win their next turn. Like, it just generates, like, your opponent has to answer this card, right? I'd say, like, the only thing that this card gets around is, I guess it gets around, I think it does get around Chomp of the Trickster, right? Because, I guess it depends on how it resolves, right? The thing is that if this card gets played in rest mode, then obviously you can't swing with it anymore, right? But it says when a card evolves in this card, switch this card to active mode. So I think if you play it if you play the 3-drop Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta in response to this card, it comes out in rest mode because that's how the counterplay works. And then you say auto, and then it comes into active mode, so you're fine. I think Chomp of the Trickster changes it afterwards. So you play this card, comes into active mode when you evolve it, and then Chomp it resolves and switches to rest mode. So something to think there. Like, honestly, if you're playing against a yellow deck, don't play this because they have, like, time magic and just a bunch of good cards that hate this card. But any other color, you're fine. This is a good card. I like it, and it can just really end the game and help you win in a lot of ways. So like this card, and you should get it if you're playing Hatchiak. And for number 1, we've got Max Power Kamehameha. I don't know if it feels weird putting this number 1, but it just feels like it's too much value and too versatile. I don't know. I don't think this will be a main deck in a lot of decks, but I think this will be a side card in almost every deck. I think, like, if you have any 2 spots, this can never be a bad idea for a card. So what it does is counterattack, negate the attack. You may send 4 cards from your drop area to your warp. If you do, return this card to your from your drop area to your hand. You can't activate copies of the card for the turn. So it's just like a negate that you can get back to your hand for quote-unquote free because you're not losing any tangible resources all the time. Depending on what deck you're playing, of course, and everything. But some decks are just like, well, sure, I can just get rid of 4 cards late game from my drop area that I don't need anymore. Because as long as I still have, like, 5 for sparking and everything, I should be fine. And if you're playing, like, the Dredge Goku, like, he'd love this card, right? Because you always have too many cards in your drop area. And so you can just keep playing this Max Power Kamehameha once a turn and probably tangent. Like, you can Dormant Legends, and then you can play Max Power, right? And you lost 2 cards, but then your opponent only attacked once the entire turn, right? And you can keep recycling this Max Power, and you can keep recycling the dormant potential with, like, Roshi and stuff. Like, it just seems like it's really good, like, really good defensive for at least that deck. But it also has this really nice active main. You can just choose one of your opponent's battle cards any cost greater than their current energy and send it to their owner's warp. And guess what? Everyone does that. Like, all decks cheat out cards more than their current energy. And just being able for one energy to take care of it is fantastic. Like we have, just, I don't know, it doesn't get around barrier, which is fine. If it got around barrier, that'd be nuts. So I'm happy it doesn't. But yeah, just being able to blow up something for one energy. Like, we have a bunch of cards that have done that for a while, and none of them see play. And so they're just like, fine, here's a generic one that's also negate. Will this see play? And my guess is yes. This will probably see a lot of play, if not in the main deck, in the sideboard for almost any conceivable like meta deck. I think would try doing this. And I think a couple decks like Dredgeku, I thought just talked about. I think that's a good idea for them to at least consider doing that. Obviously, we have like Vegex, which will probably play this card as well, just because you have such massive drop areas. So it's fine to just do these. They return to your hand and get some card advantage from there. And yeah, I just like this card a lot, and I think a lot of other people do too. So weird that it's just like a really good utility card instead of like a big bomb card for number one, but this is the one I chose, and that's really it. So let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what I got wrong. Once again, if you're just joining here because like you skipped and you didn't listen to me at the beginning, I didn't put any of the agent cards. If I did, I'd probably put the Vegeta Unison here at number one because I love that card, but that's probably just me, and maybe you guys don't like it as much. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.